Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. So welcome you all for the Brahmasamita discussions. Okay. So let's see like this. Yesterday we were discussing many things. So just a little brief reminder. Then we were discussing the creation of material universes. When Mahavishnu lays down in the Karna ocean, as he exhales, millions of golden sperms, golden eggs come out from the pore of his skin. Millions of golden sperms, and along with the jivas also. And these golden sperms are the seeds of the universes. And as they enter into Mahatattva, they become enveloped with the elements of earth, water, fire, air, ether, false ego, Mahatattva, 7 coverings of the universe. And then Lord Mahavishnu expands into each universe in the form of Garbhodakashaya Vishnu. Okay. That Garbhodakashaya Vishnu takes from Mahatattva that portion of jivas, which belongs to particular universe. So he splits totality of jivas and takes them each group in particular universe. That was described. Then we were hearing how Mahavishnu creates the prototype devatas who are associating with him there on the Karna ocean, outside of the universe. Shambhu and Brahma, Hiranyagarbha Brahma. So these devatas, they give the qualities of all other devatas which will be created within the universe. They give them their main shaktis, qualities, abilities to perform that service. So these are different. We were reading yesterday in the purport that this Hiranyagarbha Brahma is different from Chaturmukhi Brahma who will come later. These are outside of the universe. They live in the coverings of the universe. We are discussing all these things. And then we came to the Shloka 16. So I think today we will read Shloka 16. I'll just share the screen. Okay. This is shaking like anything. Can you put something like to shake? Share the screen. All right. So here we are reading Shloka 16 from Brahmasamita. Ahaṅkārātmakam vishvam tasmat etat vyajayatam. Here, translation says like this. The function of Shambhu in relation to jivas is that this universe, enshrining the mundane egoistic principle, has originated from Shambhu. So this is now the description of the Shambhu's activity, Shambhu's service. What is that? That the function of Shambhu in relation to jiva is that this universe enshrines the mundane egoistic principle, ahaṅkāra. So here, ahaṅkāra, the mundane egoistic principle, is given by Lord Shiva to all the jivas. This is what is described here. So we'll go through the purport. Okay, the basic principle is the Supreme Lord Himself, who is the embodiment of the principle of existence of all the entities, devoid of separate egotism. So the real ego is that I'm a servant of the Lord. I'm eternal spirit soul, servant of Lord. And that is in accordance with Lord's desire, with the creation, with our existence, with everything. In this mundane world, the appearance of individual entities as separate egoistic symbols is the limited, perverted reflection of unalloyed spiritual chit potency. And as representing the primal, masculine, divine generative function, Shambhu, it is united to the accommodative principle, the mundane female organ, which is perverted reflection of spiritual chit potency, Rama and Devi. So in the material world, we got this ego that we are enjoyers. And that is manifested in Shiva, Shambhu, and Maya. That idea of enjoying separately from the Lord. So here is said, limited, perverted reflection of unalloyed spiritual chit potency. So that idea of procreation is there in the Lord, but in Lord is in the pure state, completely pure. And here in the material world, it's tinged with our own selfishness, our own sense gratification. But eternally, we are part and parcel of God. We are the servants of Lord. So this is called ahaṅkāra, false identification, that I am enjoyer of material world. We'll be discussing more about that. Okay, so the Śambhu gives us this ahaṅkāra according to our desire to enjoy. As this function, Śambhu is nothing but the mere material cause principle embodying the extension in the shape of ingredient as matter. Again, when it in course of the progressive evolution of mundane creation, each universe is manifested. Then in the principle of Śambhu, born of space between two eyebrows of Vishnu, there appears the manifestation, the personality of Rudra. Yet, under all circumstances, Śambhu fully enshrines the mundane egoistic principle. So, from the Śambhu here, who is explained, manifested between the two eyebrows of Vishnu, there appears manifestation personality of Rudra. That will here with inside of the universe. When Lord Brahma gets angry, Rudra appear between his eyebrows. Okay, so that's another expansion of the Shiva. And here conclusion is, under all circumstances yet, Śambhu fully enshrines the mundane egoistic principle. So distinction is slightly given from that this Śambhu and that Rudra who will appear later, but the principle is same. The Shiva is presiding deity of ahaṅkāra. This is what is explained. Okay, now look at this. The innumerable jivas are spiritual particles emanating from our soul in the form of pencils of rays of effulgence. Again, from effulgence from Lord's body, jivas emanates. Have no relation with the mundane world when they come to know themselves to be eternal servants of the Supreme Lord. So once our pure ego, that I'm servant of Lord, is there, pure identity. Ego means identity. Who am I? What I am? I am this, I am that. I am eternal spirit soul, servant of God. This is real ego. So when we have this understanding, then we have nothing to do with material world, with material creation. Then they are then incorporated into realm of Vaikuntha. Therefore, these jivas who have no ahaṅkāra, who are not covered by ahaṅkāra, who have no desire to enjoy separately from the Lord, they live in Vaikuntha. They go to Vaikuntha, incorporated into realm of Vaikuntha. But when they desire to lord it over Maya, forgetting their real identity, the egoistic principle Śambhu entering into their entities makes them identify themselves as separate enjoyers of mundane entities. Hence, Śambhu is the primary principle of the egoistic mundane universe and of perverted egotism in Jiva that identify itself with their limited material bodies. So this is the covering. This is the identification. What is the false ego? Thinking I'm the body. I'm enjoyer of material world. Everything is centered around me. Complete illusion. Ahaṅkāra. Wrong identification. Ahaṅkāra. Aham karomi. I am the doer. That's what it means, ahaṅkāra. Now, original state is kinkara. Kim karomi. What shall I do, my Lord? I'm your servant. That is the real understanding. So here, the Srila Jiva Goswami comments here on this shloka. He explains that this verse describes the activities of Śambhu, and the universe then becomes vyajayata, filled with ahaṅkāra, ahaṅkārātmakam, filled with ahaṅkāra. All the universe is covered completely with ahaṅkāra. Whoever takes birth within the universe is covered by ahaṅkāra. Whoever, starting from Brahma, has material desire to enjoy separated from the Lord, apart from Lord Vishnu, of course, that must be understood. And there are rare souls who are sent from the spiritual to preach in material Lord's eternal associates. They are not covered with ahaṅkāra. Every other jiva which we are talking here about, which was taken from the Lord, Mahavishnu's glance, through the Rama Devi, to Śambhu, to Prakriti, Maya, then from Maya, Mahatattva taken by Garbhodaka Shri Vishnu in each universe. All these souls are covered by ahaṅkāra, by false identification. They completely forgot who am I, who is God, what is our relation, what I'm supposed to do, how to be happy in life, what is our constitutional position. Zero. Ignorance. Complete covering. Okay. This means that universe become filled with the ahaṅkāra from Shiva, Tasmat, from Shiva. That is his service, that is his duty. Who is the presiding deity of ahaṅkāra? So Srila Prabhupada explained this. I'll just share with you some of the comment. Excuse me. Srila Prabhupada says, the three types of egotism, ahaṅkāra, are technically known as vaikārika, taijasa, and tamasa. The Mahatattva is situated within the heart, or chitta, means consciousness. And the predominating deity of Mahatattva is Lord Vasudeva. Okay, remember in our chart, there is a covering of the universe, Mahatattva, and Mahatattva personified worship Vasudeva, the form of material nature, worships Vasudeva. He is presiding deity of Mahatattva. He is presiding deity of consciousness. Okay, so here, the Mahatattva is transformed into three divisions. From Mahatattva, this ahaṅkāra is born. First, vaikārika, egotism in goodness, sattvika ahaṅkāra, from which they manifested the 11th sense organ, the mind. Mind is manifested. Yesterday we were reading purport, devatas also, demigods also manifested. Whose predominating deity is Aniruddha. So now you have the Aniruddha residing over the vaikārika, sattvika ahaṅkāra. Okay. Then taijasa, or egoism in passion, rajasa ahaṅkāra, from which are manifested the active and knowledge acquiring senses, along with the intelligence, whose predominant deity is Lord Pradyumna. So Lord Pradyumna presides over intelligence, and from rajasa, the senses are born. And intelligence is in Rajagun. Mind is in Sattvagun. Correct? Ahaṅkāra is Tamagun. Okay. And tamasa, or egotism in ignorance, from which sound vibration, shabda, tanmatara, expands. So now from the tamasa, from the lower one, gross things appear. First sound appears. From sound vibration, the sky, akash, is manifested. And then the senses, beginning with the sense of hearing, are also manifested. Okay? So now the gross senses are manifested. Previously you have subtle senses. Now here you have gross senses manifested. Of these three types of egotism, Lord Sankarshan is the predominating deity. Now total predominating deity of all three is Lord Sankarshan. And that is also depicted in chart here. False ego personified is Lord Śambhu, Shiva, who worships Lord Sankarshana in the covering on the universe. So this is another abode of Lord Shiva in the coverings of the universe, where he worships Lord Sankarshana. Lord Sankarshana is expansion, he expands into Ananta Shesha. So Lord Shiva puts the snakes around his arms, around his neck, as a decoration to always remember Lord Sankarshana. This is why Lord Shiva has all these snakes, apart from chase away people who are not serious in spiritual realization, who would approach him simply for material benefit. Okay, so these are some little information for you. Okay, in the philosophical discourse known as Sankhya Karika, it is stated, Sattvika Ekadashaha pravartate vaikritat ahaṅkārat bhuta destan matram tamasa taijasa ubhayam. So basically this is explained, the same principle that how from Mahatattva three ahaṅkāras are born, and how from these three ahaṅkāras all material manifestation takes place. Okay, so Srila Jiva Goswami explains also a little more details here. More details mean he just lists out. The Mahatattva, ahaṅkāra, mind, and intelligence are considered internal senses. Okay? We have subtle body, no? We have gross senses outside visible, and we have subtle body, subtle form, subtle senses. So mind, intelligence, ahaṅkāra, ego, and Mahatattva. the consciousness, are considered the internal senses. These four, plus the five working senses, legs, hands, anus, voice, and genitals, the five perceptive senses, ears, eyes, nose, skin, and tongue, and five gross material objects, sky, air, fire, water, and earth, and the five subtle elements of sound, touch, form, taste, and smell, total 24 elements. And the Jiva and Paramatma can be coupled as 25th and 26th one. These are all products of ahaṅkāra. These are all manifested from ahaṅkāra. These are the 24 elements, and in Sankhya, this is what we analyze. What is this material all made of these 26 elements? That's all. That's what you see around. You know. The time kala is not counted separately, being an energy of Paramatma. That is also explained. So, Lord Shiva presides over the material force of ahaṅkāra, by which everyone from the rulers of planets on down think himself very important. This is from Srila Sanatana Goswami's commentaries in Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Shiva presides about ahaṅkāra, and what is the result? Everyone from the rulers of planets down to the lowest person thinks himself very important. Anything new you heard about it? Huh? Everybody thinks himself very important. One might think that the universal controller of false ego should be immune to his influence. Now you may say that Lord Shiva, he is the presiding deity of ahaṅkāra, so he is in control of it. But according to Lord Shiva, it is not so. Lord Shiva now denies this, describing himself as subject to ahaṅkāra. He says he also considers himself a dear devotee of Vishnu and recipient of Vishnu's special mercy. And such a mentality, he thinks, is but another influence of false ego. Of course, this is a humble statement of greatest Vaishnava. No? That, look, I'm thinking I have special mercy of Lord Vishnu. He considers me, my friend. Vishnu thinks Lord Shiva is my friend. Lord Shiva thinks, no, I'm servant of the Lord. He is kind to me, he's considering him my friend, but actually I'm his servant. And look how humble he is, that Shiva, when he is devotee of the Lord, he has no problem, he has proper understanding. But in his humility, he is saying that I'm thinking I have special mercy, I'm thinking a very dear, a great devotee. This is ego itself. So how am I free from the ego? This is how humbly he thinks. Okay, but we know also that Shiva, sometimes due to association with modes of material nature, has also some misunderstanding of the position of Lord Vishnu. For example, why Lord Shiva would fight when Aniruddha was kidnapped, or when even in the case of Parijata tree, he fought on Indra's side against Krishna and Satyabhama. So these are all embarrassing positions, for Lord Shiva. And remember the Lila of Mohini Murti and so on and so on. So like that. So here, the form of Lord Sankarshan, worship in Lord Shiva's abode, a covering shell of ahaṅkāra, false ego, has 4 arms, like Pradyumna and Aniruddha. That Sankarshan form is 4-arm form. This is not that multi-form described Sankarshan in Bhagavatam. I think that was 5th canto description when Lord Shiva offers praise to Sankarshan, who has many heads and many arms and many. This is another expansion as Ananta Shesha that is described. So here is very clear that these are the forms, expansion from Dvitiya Chaturvyuha also. They themselves, they are in charge for these divisions here. So, the whole process of Bhakti Yoga is to get free from this ahaṅkāra. The purpose of life is to be free from ahaṅkāra. Aham karomi. No? So, this is when you join the Vaishnava Sampradaya. First thing they teach you, you are dasa, you are servant of the Lord. We are not enjoyers of material world. We are not independent enjoyers, we are servants of the Lord. And we are trained when you come to temple, offer pranam, when you see Guru, offer pranam, when you see the deity, offer pranam, bow down, humbly inquire, humility is required, amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsak, shantirajam, acharyopasanam, shocham, atmastaram, vinigraha. These are all recommended. Give up the ahaṅkāra. Trinadapi sunichana, tarorava sahishna. Give up ahaṅkāra. If you want to chant, if you want to serve, you have to submit to Guru. Why? To give up ahaṅkāra. What means submission to Guru and Krishna? Giving up ahaṅkāra. Giving up my ideas, my plans, my concept of enjoyment. So we are trained to chant, to physically and also mentally, consciously understand that we are servants of God. Srila Prabhupada explained word Namaha. We chant every morning, Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanami. Namaha. Namaha means na. Na is negation, means not. And ma means ahaṅkāra. Namaha. Without ahaṅkāra, I offer in pranam to you. Namaha means without ahaṅkāra. Prabhupada explained this. I have a quote. Okay. Namaha means negation, ma means false ego, ahaṅkāra. So we should get rid of false ego. But there is a real ego too. We should not be like Mayavadi say, one ego, one identity should be nullified. No, false ego should be given up. False identification, that I'm this body, I'm Indian, I'm American, I'm black, I'm male, I'm female, I'm this, I'm that. These are upadis, these are false identification. But real identification, real identities, I'm eternal spirit soul, Nitya Krishna Das, I'm eternal servant of Krishna. So here Prabhupada explains. False ego means accepting this body as oneself. When one understands that he is not his body and his spirit soul, he comes to his real ego. Ego is there. False ego is condemned, but not real ego. In the Vedic literatures, Brihad Aryanaka Upanishad, it is said, Aham Brahmasmi. I'm spirit, I'm Brahman. This is I am. The sense of self also exists in liberated stage of self-realization. Because when you say Aham Brahmasmi, you are self-realized soul. Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma na shojati na kankshati sama sarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labate param. So you are identified. I am Brahma, Aham Brahmasmi. You are not giving up your identification. This is not material upadi. This is the real constitutional position of the soul. The sense of I am is ego. But when the sense of I am is applied to this false body, it is false ego. When the sense of self is applied to reality, that is real ego. There are some philosophers who say we should give up our ego, but we cannot give up our ego because ego means identity. No? Therefore they say we are not, I don't want to see you as a person. I want to see you as a one. Give up the ego. But I can give up ahaṅkāra, false ego. I cannot give up kinkara, real ego that I'm servant of the Lord. We ought, of course, to give up the false identification with the body. That's the idea. This is from Bhagavad Gita purport. Now, how to get rid of ahaṅkāra explained by Narada Muni in 7th canto Srimad Bhagavatam. Rajas tamascha satvena sattvam chopashamena cha etat sarvam gurau bhaktya purusho yanjasa jayet. Now, this is interesting. That one must conquer the modes of passion and ignorance by developing the mode of goodness. First, consciously we cultivate mode of goodness. Srila Prabhupada made this movement, the Krishna consciousness movement, set up on the Sattvika principles, Brahminical principles, to develop Sattvika qualities. We rise early in the morning, before sunset. We take bath. We wear clean clothes. We worship the Lord in the morning. We chant the mantras. We take Sattvic food. We cook ourselves. We offer to the Lord. We don't take garlic, onion. We don't take too much of tamarind and chili. We don't take food cooked by the karmis who are not devotees, who are not giving up their ego. We have all sattvic activities of studying the shastras, worshipping the Lord, doing the yagyas, playing the kirtan. These are all minimum thrice a day, taking bath. All these things are explained. And this will make us sattvic. And because these are devotional activities, from sattva gun, ultimately we have to give up that position also and go to Vishuddha sattva. So this is explained here. one must conquer the mode of passion and ignorance by developing mode of goodness. That's first thing. So persons who are dirty, who are eating outside, who are not clean, who are having not only deeds dirty, but thoughts also, all these activities are actually hampering progress to the sattva gun. Sattvam sanjayate jnanam. In sattva gun only we can understand that I am servant of the Lord. And then one must be detached from mode of goodness by promoting oneself to platform Shuddha Sattva. All this can be automatically done if one engaged in service of spiritual master with faith and devotion. Now you see, why do I need Guru? Why I cannot directly worship Krishna? Because Guru helps us to become pure. Guru is free from three modes of material nature. Guru is free from ahaṅkāra. He is servant of the Lord. He is declared servant of the Lord. Declared means he himself identifies as a servant of the Lord. So he can help us to follow our principles, to engage in devotional service, and to come out of the lower modes. In this way, one can conquer the influence of the modes of nature. So this is explained here. So, okay. So now what is the point? The point is that this Vasudeva Sattva, that is the Vishuddha Sattva, Vasudeva Shabdita. That state of consciousness, pure consciousness, because Vasudeva is presiding deity of the consciousness, is called Vasudeva Sattva or Vishuddha Sattva. This state of Sattva removes the ahaṅkāra. That consciousness, Vasudeva Sattva, removes this concept of ahaṅkāra, which is feature or mode of ignorance that prevents ordinary buddhi, ordinary intelligence, to understand one's position and binds one to the material body and material world. So this is only process to come out from in sattva gun to Shuddha Sattva by engagement in devotion service. First thing listed, what was service to the Guru, service to the Vaishnava. No? Adau Guru Ashraya. So this is described in Bhakti Rasamrita. So you see how everything is linked, right from creation to what we do every day in Bhakti Yoga, serving the Guru, fighting against the ahaṅkāra. You know? How many times we see our ahaṅkāra when somebody comes, Prabhuji, can you do some service? Or Prabhuji, you are not doing properly service. Or Prabhuji, can you chant better? Prabhuji, can you improve your cooking? Prabhuji, can you put can you take bath? Is all these things are addressing our ahaṅkāra only. You know? There's nothing else than ahaṅkāra, you know? No? So what means humbleness? What means humbleness? Humbleness means to accept the order of Guru, to accept the Shastra, not make your own understanding and speculation and try to figure out your own way out of material world. That means real humility, real humbleness, to accept the mantra given by Guru, the order given by Guru, the process of self-realization given by Guru, and not to change this. This is called humbleness, you know. Not that, oh, Prabhuji, your mercy, Radharani's mercy, and your mercy, and then you do whatever you want to do, you know, in the name of devotion service, in the name of devotion, in the name of Yukta Vairagya, remain enjoyer of material world. Well, what's the point? Okay, so this is, so mind, when mind is free from this influence of ahaṅkāra, ahaṅkāra covers intelligence, so we misidentify with the body, and the matter, binds the soul to matter. And mind free from ego, when mind is free from ego. Mind when is on ego, thinking how to engage senses in sense gratification. But when mind is free from ego, he can understand who is Lord Krishna, who is Lord Vishnu, what is our relation. So this is how it is explained. That example is given in the Shastra. When mind is free from ego, he can see that Lord Vishnu is like a big fire and jivas are like a sparks of fire. Means by nature, we are all equal in the sense we are spiritual. Lord is pure spirit, we are also pure spirit. You know, we have similar nature. This is explained in Bhagavatam. The doctrines of false ego give shape to all kinds of self-centered, godless, self-centered goodness called Vaikarika, Sattvika ahaṅkāra. And then you have in Rajasika ahaṅkāra, and then you have Tamasa ahaṅkāra. So when Lord Shiva, who is granted Kala Shakti by Mahavishnu, he unites with Kali, with Maya, with Durga. They produce this material world, who is based on this misunderstanding that I am enjoyer of this material world. That principle is there. So, so now, because Lord Shiva is residing, he's the most subtle form of that ahaṅkāra, most subtle, the smallest one of all other jivas. He has the smallest form of ahaṅkāra. Here it is explained by Srila Suhotra Swami. He says that Shiva's goodness looks bright, the way a single spark looks bright in the black night. So Lord Shiva is the highest of all living beings in material world. Because his ahaṅkāra is the thinnest, the smallest, the least desire he has separately from the Lord. But still, that principle of self-enjoyment is there in him. Huh? So he looks very high, the brightest in the night, in the darkness of material world. No? But just as one spark cannot dispel the night, Vaikārika Sattva Gun, the goodness of Shiva, does not dispel ignorance of the bodily conception. You have to worship Vishnu. You have to understand the big fire. You have to come to the light by worship of Vishnu. So this is explained here, very nicely explained. No? So this is the point. So the goodness of Vishnu is Vishuddha Sattva. Rises like the sun to reveal the pristine transcendental identity, constitutional identity of Jiva, that I am eternal spirit soul servant of God in relation to him. Such is the mature, fully liberated knowledge that develops from cultivation of Vasudeva goodness. So this is important to understand. Srila Prabhupada summarizes the problem of ahaṅkāra and gives a solution also. I give you another quote here. Material existence is experienced when one becomes attached to a woman and forgets his real identity as servant of Krishna, Nashta Smriti. What is this ahaṅkāra of enjoyment? How it is manifested? The biggest manifestation is to enjoy another Prakriti. Krishna is a Purusha and all others are Prakritis. So to imitate Krishna, Jiva, who is Prakriti by nature, Tatastha Shakti, we are Shakti, we are Prakriti of the Lord. We are also female by the nature. No? The Jiva imitates the Lord and thinks I'm Purusha and enjoys Prakriti, trying to enjoy material body of a woman or another soul. Prakriti is trying to lord over Prakriti. So this is ahaṅkāra, this is a problem. No? And this is manifested in the relation between male and female. The strongest binding force, the biggest manifestation of ahaṅkāra is desire for sex, desire, attraction to the opposite sex. So here, Srila Prabhupada says, material existence is experienced when one becomes attached to a woman and forgets his real identity as the eternal servant of Krishna. In this way, in this way, in one body after another, the living entity perpetually suffers the threefold miseries of material existence. Threefold miseries are adhyatmic, adhibadic, adhidavik klesha. To save human civilization from the darkness of ignorance, this movement was started. Okay, here Srila Prabhupada speaks. The main purpose of the Krishna consciousness movement is to enlighten the forgetful living entity and remind him of his original Krishna consciousness, which is, I am servant of God, which is real ahaṅkāra. In this way, the living entity can be saved from catastrophe of ignorance as well as bodily transmigration. So if you chant this mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Very soon you will find that you are coming from darkness to light. So this Maha Mantra we are chanting actually brings us up to that Vishuddha Sattva, Vasudeva Sattva. This is what we are doing here. This is why we are hearing constantly. So we are enthusiastic in our service. We are enthusiastic in chanting. We are enthusiastic in cleaning the floor. We are enthusiastic offering pranam. We are enthusiastic in serving our Guru because we know all these activities are done under the spiritual energy of the Lord. We are not under the Maya. When we are serving Krishna, that time you are not in the Maya, you are not in the mode, and you are engaged in the service of Krishna. So the all training, all concept here is just for that single purpose, to remove this ahaṅkāra from that our consciousness. So this is described in Shloka 16. Okay, I'll read Shloka 17. 17. Okay. Atastais lilam udvahatah kilam yoga nidra bhagavati tasya shir iva sangata. Text 17 says like this. Thereupon, the same great personal Godhead, assuming the threefold form of Vishnu, Prajapati and Shambhu, entering into mundane universe, placed the pastimes of preservation, creation and destruction of this world. This pastime is contained in the mundane world. Hence, it being perverted, the Supreme Lord, identical with Mahavishnu, prefers to consort with the goddess Yoga Nidra, the constituent on his own spiritual chit potency, full of the ecstatic trance of eternal bliss, appertaining to his own divine personality. So what is described here? These were described the activities of these three forms of Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva. Okay. Thereupon, the same great personality of Godhead, assuming threefold forms of Vishnu, Prajapati, and Shambhu, entering into mundane universe, placed the pastimes of maintenance, creation, and destruction. Maintenance is done by Lord Vishnu, creation by Lord Brahma, and destruction of this world by Lord Shiva. Okay. So this is the three forms of Vishnu. These are guna avatars. Okay. The Lord, having entered the universe, Srila Jiva Goswami explains, carries out action, lila. This is lila. Shrishti lila. His creation is also. Okay. Of maintenance, creation, and destruction within the universe through these forms, Visheshas, through these forms of Vishnu, Brahma, and Shambhu, who are similar to the prototypes who first emanated from Mahavishnu outside the universe. Now we are talking about Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva within the universe. These are the functions by which universe will be preserved, create, and destroy. Okay, they are very similar in nature to those three which were created by Mahavishnu outside the universe, from his left limb, Vishnu, from his right limb, Brahma, and we found his eyebrows, Lord Shiva. Okay, so this is explained here. While they perform these activities, the Lord partakes of Yoga Nidra. But Lord, now, this pastimes is contained in mundane world, hence is being perverted. So Lord Vishnu, although appears as a maintainer of material world, he prefers to consult with his goddess Yoga Nidra. He prefers to contact his Lakshmi Devi. He prefers spiritual pastimes. He is not part of material enjoyment like others, like Shiva and Brahma and all others, jivas who are in this material. So this is what Shloka says basically, This form is Lakshmi, associated with all spiritual powers. Because this sleep is actually a form of spiritual ecstasy, yoga nidra, there is no ignorance in Lord. There is no sleep in the Lord. These are unmanifested pastimes of the Lord. Yoga Nidra means the Lord closes his eyes, he is enjoying with his spiritual potency. So, spiritual ecstasy arising from the bliss of spiritual form, not material ignorance arising from material form. So this is just as Lakshmi associated with Rama Devi associated with Mahavishnu. Similarly, Garbhodakasha Vishnu has his own Lakshmi Devi there, which is the Yoga Nidra, constituted on his own chit potency, again, spiritual potency, full of ecstatic trance or eternal bliss, appertaining to his own divine personality. So this is what the shloka says here. Okay, now look at the purport. Very interesting. The dislocated portions of the divinity. Dislocated portion means not Vishnu Tattvas, dislocate. What is that? Vibhinamsha. Prajapati and Shambhu, both identifying themselves as entities who are separate from divine essence, sport with their respective non-spiritual Achit consorts, Savitri Devi and Uma Devi, the perverted reflection of spiritual Chit potency. So here you can see that Uma Devi, Parvati, Durga, is perverted reflection of Lakshmi Devi. And here you can see Savitri Devi also. It's perverted reflection of the Chit potency. Means it is material. Of course, Parvati, Uma Devi is material energy. So there is no anything, offensive to say that. The Supreme Lord Vishnu is the only Lord of the spiritual potency, Chit potency, Brahma or Lakshmi. So this is what is explained here. So even when Lord comes within material world, he is not of material world. He is not part of the material world. He is part of the spiritual activities, his leelas. He is not affected. He is not involved. And you can see that all others are getting excited about material world, but he is detached from it. And that will be seen in other shlokas also. Okay, so let me see, I have here now. Okay, so this is that, so this is the creation of these three murtis. Let me see some shlokas. 17. Here Srila Prabhupada quotes. The three deities, Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara, Shiva, the executive heads of the three modes of material nature, passion, goodness, and ignorance, are all generated from Garbhodakasha Vishnu, who is described herein by Brahma. This is in third canto. So Prabhupada confirms this, that these guna avatars, they are born from Garbhodakasha Vishnu when he enters into the universe. So here you have, in this picture, you have Mahavishnu in Karna ocean, Karanlokashaya Vishnu or Mahavishnu, and he expands by exhalation of his breathing. He creates millions of golden sperms or eggs, which are covered by 7 coverings in Mahatattva, and then he enters into each universe as Garbhodakashaya Vishnu. He enters into the universe, which is dark by nature and enclosed by 7 coverings, and Lord sweats. His transcendental sweating is called Garbhodaka ocean. It's a beautiful spiritual water again. It's nothing to do with material water because Lord has no matter in himself. And it's a pleasing place. And he lays down on Ananta Shesha and Lakshmi Devi is here. So that we will see how here this shloka says that through these 3 expansion now, he expands into Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva, and they will do maintenance, creation, and destruction of the universe. But details are not yet explained. We didn't come to that sequence of the details. Okay. So, okay, let's see then the next shloka, shloka 18. Shloka 18 says like this. Sishikshayam tato nabhes tasya padmam viniryayav tatnalam hemanalinam brahmano lokam adbhutam. Now, text 18 says like this. Siksha, when there was the will to create, tata, then, nabe, from the navel, tasya of him, padmam, a lotus, nirnayo, came out. So now when Garbhodakasha Vishnu enters within the universe, from his navel, lotus sprouts out. Tat nalam, its stem. Hema nalinam. Hema nalinam, like a golden lotus. Brahmanaha or Brahma, lokam, the abode, adbhutam. So first thing, Garbhodakasha Vishnu fills the universe with Garbha ocean, lays down Antashesha, and from his navel, lotus sprouts. Okay. When Vishnu, lying in the ocean milk, wills to create this universe, a golden lotus springs from his navel pit. The golden lotus, with its steam, is the abode of Brahma, representing Brahma Loka or Satya Loka. Now you may notice here is mentioned in translation, Vishnu who is laying on ocean of milk. I don't know where is this coming from because in the shloka there is nowhere mentioned ocean of milk. It's obviously speaking of Garbhodakasha Vishnu. But Sometimes in the Shastra, you can see that Kshirodaka Vishnu, Garbhodaka Vishnu are replace their functions. Why? Because this is one Vishnu, you must understand. This is the same person. There is no difference. There is no difference describing him. All three are called Paramatmas. One is Paramatma of totality of the whole universe. One is Paramatma of totality of all the jivas. And one is Paramatma in everyone's heart and in every atom. So all three are called Vishnustu Trini Rupani. Vishnu has three forms. It's not the three Vishnus in that sense. It's Vishnu who has three forms. So in that sense, we don't have to be confused here. But this is in translation. In Shloka, we don't see any of the milk mentioned. Gold here means the dim reflection of pure cognition. Now, although it looks beautiful and shining, but it's not spiritual. That's what it means. It's not spiritual. You know? So here, this Shloka 18 says that the golden lotus with its stem is abode of Brahma. And this is first planet created within material world, Brahmaloka. Brahmaloka is in the form of the lotus. What is the form of Krishna Loka? It is a lotus, but it is much bigger and it is made of Chintamani, spiritual lotus. Here, this one is golden, but it is material. It is a big, big difference. So this lotus stalk is known as the planet of Brahma because it serves as place of birth and repose of Brahma. You will see Brahma is born there on the lotus, and it's not exactly as our painting shows. You know, our painting shows that there is a lotus stem, and there is a Brahma on the lotus, and so much space that Brahma himself only can sit. But this is not exactly. This is a planet with palaces, with streets, with cities, with gardens, beautifully described. Most amazing. So this is an artistic expression that Brahma sits on the lotus and any moment he may fall off from it, there's no space there, But what to do when you do painting, it's symbolical. Paintings are always symbolical, But it's the biggest planet within material world, the biggest planet. Indeed, later on you will see that four highest planets of 14 planetary system, Satya, Tapa, Jana, Maha, Loka, they occupy 90% of the universe. And within 10, even not 10%, even within 1%, Burbu is there. And Atala, Vitala, Sutala, they're all within the earth. So 99% maybe are occupied by these four lokas. And Satya Loka is 4 times bigger than Mahaloka. 4 times means not 4 times, but multiple, double, 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 and double, So this is the biggest planet within material world. And first create a living entities. Of all these jivas, Garbhodaka Vishnu took within material world, the most pious soul is awarded post of Brahma. So here we have first jiva tattva got his body, and body is made of the pure intelligence, element of intelligence, subtle body, not gross like us. And he got the 4 heads. Our Brahma has 4 heads of universe of 4 billion miles, one of the smallest universes to control, to create. So he is the first jiva appearing, aja, unborn, because there is no mother involved. No, Lakshmi was involved directly from the lotus, which sprouts from the navel of Garbhodaka Vishnu. So this is described, that this is his place of birth, this is his planet. Okay, so now we have this described in Srimad Bhagavatam. I'll just read a little bit from Srimad Bhagavatam. This was Shloka 18. Okay. Or did I read the purport? No. I'll first, I read the purport. Okay, golden reflection from you. Okay. So here, the Srimad Bhagavatam, this is in 3rd canto, chapter 20, Shloka 16 and 17, I will read. Tasya nabar adbhut padmam, sahasra koro dididi, sarva jivani kayoko yatra swayam adbhut swarat. From the navel of personality of Godhead, Garbhodaka Vishnu, sprouted the lotus flower, effulging like 1,000 blazing suns. Okay, adbhut padmam. It's the same Shishikshayam sato nabhastasya padma vidraja lokam adbhutam. Same words are used like in Brahmasamita in Bhagavatam, you see. Okay, then say, this lotus flower is the reservoir of all conditioned souls. And the first living entity who came out of the lotus flower was the omnipotent Brahma. So in the stem of that lotus, all living entities which Garbhodakasha Vishnu took from outside the universe are placed inside. And stem itself will be used as a building material for all the planets and all the bodies of all living entities within material world. This is described here. Okay, so look at the purport of Prabhupada. Excuse me. It appears from this verse that the conditioned souls who rested within the body of personality of Godhead after the dissolution of the last creation came out in the sum total form of the lotus. Okay, very important to understand that these are all jivas who did not achieve moksha in previous life, in previous universe. Pralaya Kotam, before they could come to the platform of Vishuddha Sattva, Vasudeva Shabda. No? So what happened? These jivas were, when Pralaya came, all bodies destroyed, subtle body destroyed, ahaṅkāra destroyed. Again, jivas replaced in the body of Mahavishnu. Now, when again creation took place, again they came out and they formed totality of the lotus, all the jivas together. No? So this lotus, the totality of all jivas, that form is called also Hiranyagarbha Brahma form, or that prototype Brahma, what we were talking about. Okay, this is called Hiranyagarbha. The first living entity who to come out was Lord Brahma. So this is the most pious living entity in material world, who is independently able to create the rest of the material universes. Independently means Lord will give him power and potency, but he is doing it now. Now he is doing Visarga, secondary creation. First creation is done by Mahavishnu. All the universes came out from skin pores of his skin. All the jivas came out from his effulgence of his body and through his glands. All the potencies are moved by him. Kala Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Icha Shakti, Jiva Shakti, Maya Shakti, Adhara Shakti. All the personalities involved in creation, all the personified tanmataras, elements, senses, objects of the senses, the 16 potencies, Tushti, Pushti, Gir, Kirti, Jnana, Jnana, all of these personalities is all coming from Mahavishnu, all by his power. They all got the work. Then he creates Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Then he expands our Garbhodakasha Vishnu. Then Garbhodakasha Vishnu. Then Brahma gets the power and intelligence and guidance how to create within material world. Visarga, secondary creation. Primary creation already done by Mahavishnu. Here the lotus is said to be as effulgent as a glare of thousand suns. This indicates that the living entities, as part and parcel of Supreme Lord, are also same quality, since the Lord also diffuses his bodily glare, known as Brahma Jyoti. So Jiva also shines, soul also shines like a Brahma Jyoti. The description of Vaikuntha Loka, as stated in Bhagavad Gita and other Vedic literature, is confirmed herewith. What is the description? Na tadbhasayate suryo, na shashanko, na pavaka, yadgatva na nivartante tadhama paramam. Correct? In Vaikuntha spiritual sky, there is no need of sunshine, moonshine, electricity, or fire. Every planet, there is self-effulgent like the sun. Every planet is self-effulgent like the sun. So jivas are shining. So can you imagine that lotus stem and lotus is shining, it's beautiful, it's just made of all the jivas, it's really something extraordinary, in the creation. Okay, one more shloka is there. When that Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is lying on Garbhodaka ocean, entered the heart of Brahma, now he entered the heart of Brahma. Who enters the heart of Brahma? Kshirodakashaya Vishnu Paramatma. Now Garbhodakashaya Vishnu expands into Kshirodakashaya Vishnu, who is Paramatma. In that form, he enters in the heart of Brahma. Okay, so this is also depicted in our chart, that Garbhodakashaya Vishnu expands into Kshirodakasha Vishnu, who has his own abode within material world, spiritual planet, ocean of milk. He resides in the island in the middle of ocean of milk, and there is description is that the palace is there, the gardens are there, again his associates are there, like that, and he enters as a Paramatma in the heart of Brahma. Okay, this is what is described in Srimad Bhagavatam. So, when that Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is lying on Garbhataka ocean, entered the heart of Brahma, Brahma brought his intelligence to bear. And with the intelligence invoked, he began to create the universe as it was before. So there is a pattern. So that consciousness, how the universe should be created, that consciousness of Garbhodakasha Vishnu is also called Hiranyagarbha. The picture of the universe, the structure of the universe, the idea how to create. This coming from Garbhodakasha Vishnu. And that is imprinted back into Lord Brahma. And then he creates as it was before. Okay. At certain time, the personality of Godhead, Karandakasha Vishnu, Prabhupada writes in Prabhupada, lies in the Karna ocean and produces many thousands of universes from his breathing. So this is Mahavishnu, Karandakasha Vishnu. Then he enters again into each and every universe as Garbhodakasha Vishnu and fills up half of each universe with his own perspiration. The other half of the universe remains vacant, and that vacant region is called outer space. Then the lotus flower sprouts from his abdomen and produces the first living creature, Brahma. Then again, as Kshirodakasha Vishnu, the Lord enters into the heart of every living entity, including Brahma. Okay? This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter. The Lord says, what says? Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto. I'm in everyone's heart. That is Kshirodakasha Vishnu, Paramatma. I'm sitting in everyone's heart, and by me, remembrance, forgetfulness made possible. As the witness of the activities of the individual entities. No? What is that? Upadrashta Anumanta. The Lord gives each one remembrance and intelligence to act according to his desire at the time he was annihilated in the last birth in the last millennium. So now, that Paramatma gives intelligence to every jiva, first with the Brahma, where he stopped with his material desires in previous life. He is reminded what desires he had, what he did, what he wanted to do. He continues where he stopped by being reminded by the Lord, Paramatma, in his heart. These intelligences invoked according to one's own capacity or by the law of karma. You know? So this is when jiva are back into Mahavishnu, they are free from karma, they are free from all these material desires. But when they get back ahaṅkāra, then they get back material desires, wherever they stop. So this is what is happening. Brahma was the first living entity, and he was empowered by Supreme Lord to act in charge of the mode of passion. Therefore, he was given the required intelligence, which is so powerful and extensive that he is almost independent of the control of Supreme Personality of Godhead. No. So Lord gives him full Shakti, full intelligence how to do it, and Lord goes away. He's not part of this Leela, remember. He goes and enjoys with Lakshmi Devi. Even that is described, that after the Brahma uses the stem of creation, Lord does not lay down in Garbha ocean, he leaves. Ananta Shesha stays there, supporting all 14 planetary system on his hood. He goes to Brahma Loka and he is worshipped by Brahma there. That's all. He doesn't even stay there anymore. No? This is described. Okay, I'll continue reading. Just as highly posted manager is almost as independent as the owner of the firm, Brahma is described here as independent because as the Lord's representative to control the universe, he is almost as powerful and independent as Supreme Personality of Godhead. And no wonder that when we come from the spiritual world, that first we become Brahma. As independent as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That was our desire First pose was given, but this is also the easiest pose to understand because we have body of pure intelligence. Pure intelligence means contaminated intelligence. No, some ahaṅkāra is also there. Brahma also has desire to create and to control. Material desires are there. So, but this is still the best position to go home back to Godhead from post of Brahma. But you will see, some Brahmans, they don't do that. Some Brahmans, they don't realize. Not that every Brahma goes home back to Godhead. We were all Brahmas. Hey, Brahmas. Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. Pranam to you, oh Brahma. All of you were Brahmas, including myself. My foolish, all four heads didn't help me to realize God. So here I want to read you something really interesting, how some of Brahmas, they don't go home back to God. Okay, first we'll read this. The Lord, as the super soul within Brahma, gave him the intelligence to create. The creative power, therefore, of every living entity is not his own. It is by the grace of Lord that one can create. Even we, when we build a house or we build a temple or whatever, we understand this is Lord's creative power manifesting in us. There are many scientists and great workers in this material world who have wonderfully created force, who have wonderfully creative force, but they act and create only according to the direction of the Supreme Lord. This is devotee. This is how devotee thinks. And, oh, I build a temple for Krishna. No. Krishna used me as an instrument. It is his power, his intelligence, empowered by Krishna. Used. I'm very happy. I'm used as an instrument. This is how devotee thinks in anything he does. This is reality. This is the truth. This is not some humble expression. Actually, I built it, but actually, Lord, but acted through me. No, this is not like that. The devotee does not think like this. He really does not think like this. He knows. Nimitta, what is nimitta matra? Bhavasavya sachi. You be instrument. Krishna said, I kill them all, Arjun. You be instrument. So this is devotee. Devotee knows I'm the instrument. And if we are not in good conscience, if we are not surrendering to Lord, if we are not chanting properly, we are not serving properly, then we are instruments in Maya's hands. Then we quarrel with devotees, we work under different energy altogether. So that is devotees' consciousness. Scientists are not devotees. Scientists may create many wonderful inventions by direction of the Lord, but it is not possible for him to overcome the stringent laws of material nature by his own intelligence. Nor it is possible to acquire such intelligence from the Lord, for the Lord's supremacy would then be hampered. So Brahma is given this intelligence because he understands that Lord is behind him. It is stated in this verse that Brahma created the universe as it was before. This means that he created everything by the same name and form as in previous cosmic manifestation. So here, I don't mind. I like to read a little more about Brahma because somebody was asking me so many questions about Brahma. I think this will answer. Who is the Hiranyagarbha Brahma? Who is the Chaturmukhi Brahma? Vairaja Brahma is also called Vairaja or Hiranyagarbha Brahma. Sometimes if there is no qualified living entity, Bhagavan himself takes post of Brahma also. And he is also called Vairaja Brahma or Hiranyagarbha Brahma. So these names are used interchangeably, but the functions are quite clearly different. So here this is also from Bhagavatam. Then Vairaja Brahma, the soul of the universal form, gives up his universal body, O king, and enter into subtle unmanifested nature, like a fire that has run out of the fuel. Okay, now look at here. This is now in the time of Pralaya, what happens. According to Srila Bhaktivinoda Saraswati Thakur, the word Vairaja, in this verse indicates the totality of individual conditioned soul who originally takes birth from Brahma and are amalgamated back into him at the time of annihilation. Okay, so we were talking about this Hiranyagarbha, lotus stem, the form of body of the Brahma, Hiranyagarbha Brahma. So same thing now. All the souls in Pralaya, they'll go back into that body of Brahma. That body of Brahma will go back into the Mahavishnu with all the jivas back. By the manifestation of Virat Purusha, the universal form of the Lord, there is a temporary display of forms, qualities and activities within material creation. So that Virat Purusha, the universal form, with all the living entities, with the planets, with all the forms, creation, and everything, is a temporary creation. But the entire cosmic scene reverts to inert formlessness when the creation is withdrawn by Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is Virat form of the Lord, is temporary material form, is manifested and then is withdrawn again. Therefore, the Lord's universal form cannot be accepted as the eternal form of the Lord. This is only form of the Lord that's material, Virat Rupa, universal form. It is merely temporary, imaginary resemblance of his personal form within the kingdom of Maya. That's not really the form of the Lord. It is imaginary form because different parts of the universe are compared to the part of body. In the first canto of Bhagavatam, as well as in second canto, universal form of Lord is clearly explained to be an imaginary form offered to the neophyte for meditation on God. Because people who don't know the spiritual form of the Lord, Sachitananda Vigraha, they accept universe as a God. No, pantheism. Universe is a God. Okay. So what they say that universe, this is the form of the God. Okay. So those who are materialistic, they can imagine different portions of the universe as a part of the body of the God. And in this way, they can become godly. Those who are excessively materialistic are totally unable to understand that Supreme Personality of Godhead is actually Sachitananda Vigraha, or the eternal form of bliss and knowledge, transcendental to exhibition of material energy. Therefore, to encourage such gross materialists to become faithful theists, the Vedic literature instructs them to meditate upon the physical universe as the gigantic body of the Supreme Lord. This pantheistic conception, pantheistic means God is universe. Everything is God is this universal energy manifestation. The pantheistic conception does not reflect the ultimate reality of Supreme Lord, but is a technique to bring the mind gradually towards God. Okay, so you may say even the Veda says Virat Rupa. People think when they read Bhagavad Gita that main portion of Bhagavad Gita is Vishwarupa, Virat Rupa. That's God, universe. No, this material display, this is material manifestation of God's energy. God is Sachidananda Rupa, Divya Rupa, Somya Rupa is described in Gita. That's the main one. And people think, that's the main one, Virat Rupa. No, that's not the main one. Why they think this is main one? Because they have materialistic consciousness. They cannot understand Sachidananda Vigraha of the Lord. Okay, now just be patient, please, 2 more minutes. This is very interesting. Let's discuss about the Brahma. Srila Sridhar Swami quotes the following verse as evidence that Lord Brahma is supposed to go back to Godhead at time of annihilation. Now when Pralaya comes, Brahma is supposed to go home back to Godhead if he is devoted. He quotes from Shastra. At the time of, excuse me, at the time of final annihilation, all self-realized souls, okay, not all souls, all self-realized souls, enter with Brahma into supreme abode. Okay, so those who are self-realized, they enter with Brahma to spiritual abode. Since Brahma is sometimes considered the best devotee of Supreme Lord, he surely should obtain liberation rather than merely enter into unmanifest state of material nature called avyakta. Avyakta, again, material nature becomes Mahatattva turns into Pradhana. Pradhana is avyakta. In this connection, Srila Sridhar Swami points out that there is a class of non-devotees who attend the planet of Brahma by performing Ashwamedha yagyas and other sacrifices. And in certain cases, Brahma himself may not be a devotee of Supreme Lord. So the words avyaktam, vishate sukshmam can be understood to indicate that such a non-devoted Brahma cannot enter spiritual sky, despite having achieved ultimate universal status of material expertise. Although he is Brahma, the main creator, almost as independent as the Lord, he cannot go home back to Godhead if he is not devotee. But when Brahma is devotee of Supreme Lord, the word avyaktam can be taken to indicate that spiritual sky, because spiritual sky is also called avyakta, because we don't see it. For us, to us, is unmanifest. Since the spiritual sky is not manifest to the conditioned soul, it may also be considered avyakta. Even if Lord Brahma cannot enter the kingdom of God without surrendering to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then what to speak of other so-called pious or expert non-devotees? So how automatically people go home back to God? No. Look at this. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur further explains, has pointed out that there are three categories within status of Brahma, namely karmi, jnani, and devotee. Brahma can be karmi, jnani, or devotee. And according to his consciousness, his material desires or his spiritual desires, he will achieve different results. A Brahma who is most exalted karmi of the universe will have to come back to material world. Brahma who is karmi, who is into material enjoyment, into karma kanda, into pious activities, into material desires, he has to take birth again. A living entity who has achieved post of Brahma by being the greatest speculative philosopher within the universe may attain impersonal liberation. Brahma who is jnani, he may merge into Brahman. And the living entity who has been awarded post of Brahma due to being great devotee of Supreme Lord enters into personal abode of the Lord. So those who is devotee Brahma, he actually enters into Vaikuntha. He says, Srimad Bhagavatam, yet another case is described. Another case of Brahma is described. Here, this one. Brahma who is devotee of the Lord, but who has tendency to think himself independent or equal to Lord, may achieve Mahavishnu's abode at the time of annihilation. Okay, he will go back into the Mahavishnu's place. But when creation begins again, he has to return and take post of Brahma again. So even if you are devotee, but still you think yourself independent, you think yourself equal to the Lord, but you are devotee. You are devotee, Mishra Bhakta. You have still these material misunderstandings. You'll go back to Mahavishnu's body and take born again and become Brahma again. Wow. You heard that? The word used in this case is Bheda Drishya, different vision, duality, which refers to tendency to think oneself independently powerful. The various destinations possible for such exalted living entity as Lord Brahma definitely prove that any material position is worthless for guaranteeing an eternal life of bliss and knowledge. Even don't aspire to become Brahma, that's the message. Even that post of Brahma doesn't guarantee you they will go home back to God. Better be simple fellow, possess nothing, control nothing, create nothing, chant 16 rounds, follow 4 principles, serve Guru and Krishna, go home back to Godhead. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna promised that if one gives up all other so-called obligations and surrenders to devotion service of Lord, Lord will personally protect him and bring him back to supreme abode in spiritual sky. Sarva dharmam parityaja. It is futile and foolish to try to achieve perfection by one's own strenuous endeavor and not surrender to lotus feet of Krishna. Such a blind attempt is described in 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita as Bahulayasam, indicating that it is work in the mode of passion. Brahma is the Lord of passion, and his creation and management of the entire universe are certainly Bahulayasam, or strenuous endeavor, in the most exalted sense. But all such passionate work, even that of Lord Brahma, is ultimately useless without surrendering to the lotus feet of Krishna. Okay? Okay, I'll stop here. But this is, we are speaking about creation of the universe. Baba, this is not small talk. So I think these quotes, beautiful quotes from Acharyas, from Srila Prabhupada, clarified many things. I'll stop here for the pleasure of all devotees tonight. And, excuse me, maybe we can see some questions here. Oh my goodness, many questions. Okay, we'll see, maybe, don't mind, we'll take maybe 1 or 2 questions, but tomorrow, next time we'll have a little longer session with all the question answers, because still we didn't go through full creation. Now Brahma is created. Now what he will do, how he will create, all these things will be explained in next few more lectures we have about this material creation. Then we will see this description of spiritual world. So maybe 1 or 2 questions we'll take now, and please remember your questions, and I will also notice these questions so we can deal with them later, because it's very late tonight. Don't mind, but it's really late. Okay, where does Shambhu reside? Is it residing in Sadashiva Loka? Okay, I'll show on the chart. screen share. Where is it? Screen share the screen. Okay. Okay, here. The Sadashiva Loka is one of the Vaikuntha planets. The Sadashiva, who is Vishnu Tattva, resides there. Mahakala Dham is the place where Shambhu, who is Lord of Pradhana, resides. The Lord of Prakriti, who is ahaṅkāra personified, he resides in the coverings of the universe. And then we will be talking about Rudra, who will be born from Brahma's anger, and he has his own planet within the material universe. And then on the top of Himalayas, Lord Shiva was invited by Kuvara. That is also his place where he resides. In Jambudvipa, he also resides. There are many places where Lord Shiva resides. But I think at least these few personalities here involved in the creation are clear to you now where Lord Shiva resides. Okay, that was the first question. Okay, stop share. Let me see the second question. We understand that all creation comes from the first expansion of Krishna, that is Śrī Balaramji. Could you guide me from where does Srimati Radharani and all the other Sakis manifest from? That was already talked in the first few lectures, but anyway, I'll just remind you a little bit by sharing the screen. Okay. Okay, here. From the spiritual world, Krishna Loka, Lord himself expands into Balaram as a first expansion. Balaram expands into Adi Chaturyuga, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. Sankarshan, from Adi Chaturyuga or Adi Sankarshan, he expands into Lord Narayana of the Vaikuntha. Lord Narayana of Vaikuntha expands into Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha again, called Dvitiya Chaturyuga. Sankarshan or Dvitiya Chaturyuga, known as Maha Sankarshan, he expands into Mahavishnu, Karanodakashaya Vishnu, who further expands into Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, who further expands into Kshirodakashaya Vishnu, who further expands as a Paramatma, and all avatars in material world come from Kshirodakashaya Vishnu. Namely, Lila avatars, Guna avatars, Shaktivesh avatars, Yuga avatars, Manvantaras, everything comes from Kshirodakashaya Vishnu. This is how Lord Balaram and his expansion, Krishna to Balaram and his expansion works. Now the question is from where Srimati Radharani, her expansion comes. Srimati Radharani is expansion from Krishna's own body. It is Swarupa Shakti, spiritual potency of the Lord. She is the first Hladini Shakti or Swarupa Shakti, spiritual potency of the Lord. And first 8 expansions are 8 principal gopis, embodiment of 8 most prominent qualities of Srimati Radharani. They expand further into other, like a queens of Dwarka. And they expand further into Lakshmis and queens of Lord of Narayana, Lord of Vaikuntha. Vimala Utkarshini, Jnana, Kriya, Yoga, Pravi, Satya, Ishana, etc., etc. Bhu Devi, Leela Devi, Shri Devi. These are all expansions of Srimati Radharani. And from Lakshmis, we understand from Rama Devi, her shadow becomes Maya, Parvati. And then again, we have devatas in material world who are again jivas empowered by the Adi devatas who are all creation from the Hiranyagarbha Brahma. So this is basically basic answer to your question. Okay, now okay, so I think we will stop today because really late. Here is really late. All devotees are a little bit dozing, and I understand them all day. They work hard, so please don't mind. We will take these questions tomorrow. I note all these questions, And all these questions will be answered. Don't worry, don't get upset about that. But it's really, today's session was a little longer. I don't want to prolong anymore. So we'll deal with all your questions next time. Thank you very much for your patience. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Śrī Brahma-saṁhitā ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.